Now that we have our new user created, we can create an additional layer of security for our server by creating a cryptographic key pair. The key pair replaces the role of our login password. It reduces the likelihood of success of brute force attacks on the server. A brute force attack is when someone trying to gain unauthorized access to your system sets up a script to try different combinations of characters to guess your password. If you're on a Mac machine, you can follow the steps in this lesson. If you're using a Windows machine, please view the previous lesson intended for Windows users. The first step here is to launch Terminal. Type in the following command to create a SSH key on your local machine. Once you do that, you'll need to answer some of the prompts. So enter file in which to save the key. You can just leave that as default and press enter. It's asking me if I want to overwrite the key that already exists. You won't get this message because you probably haven't created a key before. I have, so I'll need to overwrite it. Next, I'll need to enter a passphrase for the key. So once you've entered and confirmed your passphrase, I entered the word test 0101. You can enter any passphrase you like. You'll notice that the identification has been saved, and you can see the directory where the private and public key have been saved, and also the files id_rsa, and the public key has been stored in id_rsa.pub. And then the next we have the key fingerprint. You don't need to worry about that, or the key's random art image. That's fine as it is. Now we'll need to log into our Linode server as user Bob to check if we have the SSH directory already created. So I'm just going to plug in SSH Bob at, and then the IP address of my server. You'll need to use your server. And I'll just enter the password to log in. And so now I'm connected to the Linode server under the user Bob. Now to see if we have the SSH directory created, we'll need this directory to store our public key file. Run the following command. This will list all the files and folders in user Bob's account. And I do not have the SSH directory, and so I'll need to create it. If you already have it, you do not need to execute this following command. Okay, so I've used the mkdir and then the name of the directory, which is .ssh, to create the folder. And I'll just confirm that it was created by running the ls-all command again. And we can now see the .ssh directory is there. With the directory created, we can exit to terminate the session. So just type exit and press enter. And now we're back on our local host. Next, we need to copy the public key into the .ssh folder on our Linode server. So the public key is on our local machine, and we need to copy it over to our remote server. And to do this, you're going to use the following command. Okay, so this is the command here. And there's some important things you might need to change. For example, if you've decided not to use Bob as your username, well then you'll need to replace Bob with whatever username you chose. Also, you do have to change your IP address because it's not going to be the same as mine. Over here, where it says Bob, you'll need to change it to your username. If you're following along and you used Bob as well, well then you can leave that as is. Now I'm going to press enter. Now it's asking for the server password for user Bob. So I'm going to enter my password. Okay, so we've uploaded the file called uploaded_key.pub, and that should be in our SSH folder now. To confirm that it is, I'm going to log back into the Linode server. And I'm going to type in cd.ssh and then ls-all. And we can see in this folder we now have the uploaded_key.pub file. Okay, so I just wanted to confirm that that was there, so I can go ahead and exit. The next thing we need to do is copy the public key we uploaded into a file called authorized keys. Now I did terminate the session, but I should have left it active. So if you've done the same, then just log back in. And then go into your .ssh folder, so type in cd.ssh. And now you're going to run the following command. And press enter. Okay, so the authorized keys file should have been created. So I'm just going to type ls-all. And we can see that the authorized keys file is there. I'll open the file with nano to make sure that the key is inside the authorized key file. And we can see that the key is there. I'll just press Ctrl X to exit. And now I can terminate the session. The last step is to log back in to make sure that we're now prompted for our passphrase in order to connect. So let's attempt to log back in. And you can see now that it's asking for the SSH key. And this is the passphrase that we configured earlier in this tutorial. So enter your passphrase. Mine was test0101 and press OK. And you can see that we're now connected using the passphrase. So the entire process was successful. And now you can log into your server using the key pair and passphrase rather than the plain text password. This is a lot more secure.